Welcome to the Nutrigenomic Nation podcast with Brian Highfield, certified nutritionist, author, speaker, and founder of multiple successful companies in the health world. Brian is known for educating healthcare professionals and others on improving their health and their life through breakthroughs in nutrition, technology, and biochemistry. On the podcast, Brian interviews thought leaders in the world of nutrition and natural health. He and his guests share the secrets of a whole life natural approach to health and the life-altering results you can get by making easy changes to your diet and daily routine.
Well, welcome to another episode of Nutrigenomic Nation, where we talk about topics related to your genetic health. And today we have a very special guest coming to us all the way from Australia. We have Filipa Bellette. She is the co-founder of health and wellness practice called Chris and Philly Functional Medicine. She's an accredited clinical nutritionist specializing in functional medicine. So thanks for joining us today, Filipa.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. That's great. And want to get to know you a little bit. And so our audience always wants to know, what made you want to become a nutritionist and work in functional medicine?
Yeah, awesome. So my whole journey all started after I had my first baby. It was a pretty traumatic birth, lots of internal damage, lots of tearing, and I had an issue where my bladder stopped working. So much nerve damage that I had no sensation to pee. So my bladder would just blow up to like 3 liters of urine and I wouldn't be able to pee. Anyway, so because of that, the doctors put me on a lot of antibiotics for about 3 or 4 months, and I had to have an internal catheter in. And so this was all the while at the same time as having a baby that was very colicky, crying all the time, probably because of all the antibiotics I was taking. Ended up in hospital a few times with chronic UTIs and constipation. So it was just a really pretty traumatic first few months of being a new mum. And then after that, I just started developing lots of different random health issues. So first of all, it was definitely mental health, like postnatal depression. Later on, when I had my second baby, anxiety really flared up. Really low immunity. I started catching colds and flus and getting different types of infections every 2 or 4 weeks, get over one, get another one. I had lots of gut issues, especially heartburn, skin issues, low libido, I don't know, like probably chucking in all the symptoms, chronic pain, and just a random bunch of symptoms that no one, like it wasn't bad enough that I had like a nasty disease. The GP ran all the usual blood tests, everything came back normal. Yet I didn't feel normal. So I wasn't getting the help that I needed from sort of the medical sphere. And then I was given a book called Deep Nutrition. And so that was all about food and how you can actually heal your body eating real food and not like crappy processed food. And that was like completely new to me and blew my mind. So I got on the big nutrition bandwagon and just started fermenting foods and buying organic veggies, going out to a local dairy farm, getting all the raw milk, all that sort of stuff. And that was probably over the course of a year, and my body slowly started to heal, but there were still some things that weren't quite right. And that's what then led me to get into functional medicine. Because I really wanted to get to the root cause of why I wasn't recovering fully. And so that's where I started doing a lot of lab testing, looking at my microbiome, my detox pathways, my adrenal hormones, my brain, and discovered that pretty much every body system in the neuroendocrine system, the gut and the detox system were all out of balance. So I had a big task ahead of me to heal all that. And now I am just super passionate about helping burnt out moms recover from postnatal depletion. And, we just get stuck in, like dads do too, I'm sure, and just people in general. But I find that moms who are also working or building their business and juggling family and all these other responsibilities often put themselves last. And then over time, their body burns out.
Yeah. And so it's very common for people that are in functional medicine, that are a nutritionist or naturopath, that they have a story similar to yours, that it started out with some sort of traumatic issues and conditions that they had, and got them interested. And now they're turning that around and helping other people. I mean, you have a PhD now, you're an award-winning writer, and you and your husband are now helping other people with whatever is afflicting them. I mean, how are you helping these folks that are burned out, especially these burned out moms that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we're actually just about to release, it's called the Power Parent Project. So we're going to help mums and dads become healthy, productive, and connected. So my husband is also, he's been in the health industry for about 20 years. So he has in his toolkit lots of different things, but essentially he is a coach, mindset coach, life coach, and I call him the implementation coach. I'm really good at telling people what's going on their test results, and giving them a treatment plan and telling them what to do. Then Chris comes in and he's like the motivator, the coach, the hold your hand or kick you up the bum. He helps create those changes that people make, because often the root cause of people's health issues isn't so much that, they have a nasty pathogen in their gut, but it's like, well, why is that happening in the first place? And it comes back to the way that people think, feel, and behave, and the lifestyle and environment that they find themselves in. So we're a virtual practice. We do see clients in person as well, if they're local to us, but we take them through a journey. We find out what's wrong with them. We do lab testing with them. My hubby Chris does a lot of just digging deep into why people are sick from the psychological, behavioral side of things. And then we help people with natural medicines to heal the body systems, and also a lot of lifestyle, environmental, and neurolinguistic changes as well.
Great. I mean, your website talks about, you use the phrase the dragon mom and the zombie dad. I mean, when these folks come to you, what are some things that you're finding that are wrong, and how do you get to that root cause?
Yeah, so I would say, burnout is a big thing that we help our clients with. And Dragon Mum came from, it's actually, yes, I was sick and feeling really crappy, and that's what then led me on this journey. But the crux of it was I got to a point where I was just in my head, I was calling myself the Dragon Mum, because I was screaming and yelling and not coping with these tiny little kids that I had, who were just kids. They weren't naughty or anything, but I was not coping. I was the dragon mom, probably dragon wife as well. Actually, definitely dragon wife. My husband, Chris, had his own sort of burnout issues. It showed up as zombie dad, because, he'd be working massive hours at work, come home really late, wake up really early, pepping up on caffeine all day, energy drinks, and then crashing out at home instead of spending quality time with the family, just like wiped out. So we, like, our message, and we seem to attract people like us. So yeah, what was your question again? Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
So yeah, what could be going on? How do you get to the root cause?
Yeah, cool, awesome. So when I think about Dragon Mum, so again, like, a lot of moms will come, they're like, I'm just crabby and irritable and angry all the time, and I'm exhausted, and I have PMS and all these issues. And again, a lot of them get really frustrated because they go to the doctor, and the doctor's just like, well, here's an antidepressant, but not really, and they might do some thyroid testing, which is really basic, like just looking at TSH, or doing some iron testing or something like that. And, and the people that come to us disagree that is the solution. Like, there's something else going on. So I would find, like, from a body genetic imbalance point of view, some common things that show up would be adrenal stress hormones are out of balance. So that's like cortisol, DHEA, acting dysfunctionally or depleted. Neurotransmitters are often depleted also. So things like dopamine, serotonin, both of those can cause you to have sort of mood disorders, fatigue as well. And then there's stealthy stuff too. Like, not a lot of people think about candida or parasites or bacterial pathogens like Helicobacter pylori, but all of these pathogens cause so much inflammation in the gut, and there's that gut-brain connection, which then can inflame the brain and affect the way that we actually feel and behave. So it can really drag down energy levels. It can really affect or flare up anxiety. And then the other one that people don't often think about or don't know about until we do the testing is detox pathways are impaired. So we use an organic acid test, which is a urine test, and that looks at all your different detox pathways as well as nutritional deficiencies that affect detoxification. So a lot of people have like methylation issues. So your vitamin Bs are depleted or being burnt up really quickly, and also glutathione issues. And when that happens, you're just not able to detoxify from toxins very well. For women, you can get a buildup of estrogen as well. That leads to PMS and nasty periods, and that's going to make anybody feel crappy and angry and moody. So that's from the body system side of things. That probably the most common things that we find that are out of whack.
And so what are some of the treatments there? What you're sending these folks to specific diets or sets of foods to address these issues?
Yeah, so from a nutrition perspective, it depends on what's going on. So we do base it a lot on someone's testing. If they have a lot of gut issues, so let's just say they have like a big candida overgrowth that's causing brain fog, anxiety, fatigue, and maybe like actual bloating or diarrhea, then we might move someone and work through an anti-candida diet. So that's taking out all the processed sugars, refined carbohydrates, but really paring it right back to really just like vegetables and protein.
Yeah.
So if you're a vegan, tofu, or if you're a meat eater, then you have a little bit more selection. But with diets like that can be quite restrictive, I always tell our clients it's not a forever thing. It's just part of the healing process. It's going to be short term, and we're going to get you eating more foods again. But I don't know, we have probably about 15, 20 different healing diets. So another common one would be a low histamine diet. So histamine is a chemical that your body produces naturally during lots of different things, but it can overproduce if your body's under stress or there's other stuff going on, or if you've got a lot of overgrowth of different type of bacteria or yeast. And so a lot of people with histamine issues, like common things would be they're showing up as having like allergy type symptoms, itchiness, cough, heartburn's quite common. But then there's some weird things too, like people with high histamine or histamine intolerance often have headaches and migraines. That's going to cause you to feel like a dragon mum. I promise you. You cannot, like, it's just any little sound that your child makes, like, no. Anxiety for sure, fatigue. So again, all these symptoms that I kind of just rattled off before sometimes come back to a histamine intolerance. So we might work through with someone a low histamine diet, which takes out quite a lot of foods that contain histamine. So and healthy things too. So it's not necessarily that these foods are bad. It's more like eggs and fish and avocado, nuts, all these things that when people are trying to eat healthy, and I find that some clients too, they're like, oh yeah, I started eating healthy and I started feeling worse. Like I actually feel better on McDonald's. And I'm like, well, what are you eating? What are you eating that you weren't? And often it's like, the nuts and the seeds, because they're easy, healthy snacks. Eating more eggs for breakfast instead of like cereals, chucking in avocado everywhere because it's a great fat, and all these foods are awesome. But for people where there's a histamine intolerance, you got to kind of like reduce the load in the bucket first, and then slowly over time, as you're healing those imbalances, then you can increase those foods again. So there's a more varied and wide diet.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned post-baby depletion, and I'm not sure if people really understand what you mean by that. Can you explain to our audience what that is and how, what the symptoms may be and how you can treat that?
Yeah, cool. So post a baby depletion, so I would, again, it kind of comes back to burnout. So being pregnant, having babies is a wonderful, beautiful time, but it's also very taxing on a mum's body. So basically when you're growing a baby, when you're breastfeeding, you're giving the baby a lot of your nutrients. And if you're not on top of your own self-care, then those nutrients can, like for you and for your body to function at its best, can get really depleted really fast. Then chuck in like sleepless nights, because not many babies sleep well, at least initially. So broken nights, waking up, your body repairs while you sleep. So then if you're not getting that restorative sleep, that's going to cause further depletion and burnout. And then just the emotional stress of being either like a brand new mum or being a mum with multiple kids, juggling all these responsibilities and now having another new little baby. So stress, again, like someone who is very stressed, whether it's emotional, busy stress, nutritional stress, gut infection stress, will also burn through a lot of your antioxidant, like supporting nutrients, which then can lead you to being quite depleted in those things. So I just find that like it's not uncommon to do an adrenal saliva test and find that almost every mom is in what I will call adrenal fatigue, because it's really stressful. And even if someone emotionally and mentally feels great as a mom, just from a body point of view, it can be very stressful and depleting.
Awesome. This is one of my favorite questions to ask our guests. So if you're in a stadium full of tens of thousands of people who are interested in bettering their health, and you had the microphone and can speak to this large crowd, what are some of the key things that you would want to convey to people that want to better their health?
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm a geek and I'm a detective and I love the science. So my big motto is always test, don't guess. Now do all that nutrition and lifestyle stuff first. But if you're not getting better, don't feel discouraged and like you want to go back to eating Maccas because you're not getting better. It's a big sign that there's still something that's not, that hasn't been identified yet that is causing your health issues. So test, don't guess. Don't just jump on Google and because you'll come up with like a gazillion things that might be wrong with you, and that will probably cause you like a lot of anxiety too. And also that like the body is intelligent. The body wants to be whole. And so take away the bad stuff and chuck in the good stuff, and like you can heal. And for some people it's a long journey, but it's a possible journey.
Awesome. Great advice. And we hear that a lot, avoid the bad stuff and gravitate towards the good stuff. And I love that you threw in there, it can take time, because people don't understand that it can take time to fully heal from that and actually notice the effects. So how can our audience get to know you a little bit better or connect with you?
Yeah, awesome. So we have a website, www.chrisandphilly.fm. I'm guessing that'll be in the show notes, maybe.
Yep.
The link. Yep, cool. So we have a lot of free resources on there too. We have a burnout mini course if anyone wants to dig a bit deeper into what might be wrong with them. That course is specifically looking at gut and hormonal burnout. And yeah, we are very prolific with the content we produce. So we've always got new videos, new blog posts, getting featured in other awesome places like this and in the media. So maybe just Google my name too, and you'll find that like the first 10 pages on Google will be something about me.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, I really appreciate you being with us today. I hope our audience has enjoyed this episode of Nutrigenomic Nation, and I hope you join us next time where we'll talk about another topic related to your genetic health. So our guest today has been Filipa Bellette from Australia. She is a PhD award-winning writer and the co-founder of Chris and Philly Functional Medicine. So thank you so much for being with us today, Filipa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David.